Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Monday Night Raw tonight was from, of course, the Performance Center in Orlando. And we are 2 weeks away from Money in the Bank. And Monday Night Raw tonight, what can I say? Another week, another garbage, terrible show it was. Show was god-awful tonight. It was boring, in my opinion. Just god-awful show. But let's get right into the review. Let's get right into the Monday Night Raw review. So we had tonight on commentary, we had the return of Samoa Joe on commentary, which, you know, it was great hearing Joe on commentary again. Does a really good job when, you know, he did a really good job when he did that commentary one time when he was out with an injury. Just, he's good on commentary. So he was joining Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips. Jerry Lawler was covering the contract signing between McIntyre and Seth Rollins, which took place earlier in the night, which was the main event. But, you know, like I said, good hearing Joe on commentary again. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight, and it opened up awfully. And we had to see MVP. Why is MVP still on WWE television? Can anybody explain why he's still showing up on TV? So he was out there. He was hosting another edition of his VIP lounge. So he ended up talking about the Money in the Bank matches. And MVP ended up saying that he will have the competitors for the men's Money in the Bank, which were his guests on the VIP lounge. So he ended up bringing out Rey Mysterio first. And we saw, you know, the ladders that were set up all around the PC. And then MVP ended up bringing out Aleister Black. And then as Aleister made his way out, MVP ended up bringing out Apollo Crews. And MVP ended up saying that he is his pick. His pick is Apollo Crews to win the Money in the Bank. So all three guys were in the ring, and MVP ended up asking them all what it will mean to win the Money in the Bank match, the Money in the Bank ladder match. He ended up asking Rey Mysterio first, and MVP ended up interrupting and ended up speaking for Rey Mysterio. And MVP, of course, did the same thing for Aleister Black and Apollo Crews. So Crews ended up going to speak. And then he got interrupted by Zelina Vega, Austin Theory, Angel Garza, and Andrade Cien Almas. So Zelina Vega was on the mic. She ended up laughing. And she ended up saying that absolutely no one in the WWE universe wants to hear what Crews has to say. So Zelina ended up saying what the entire world is talking about is not Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and Apollo Crews in the ring. And she ended up saying that the world can't get enough of Andrade Cien Almas, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. She ended up saying that her 3 men are the future of the company of WWE. And she ended up saying that the other 3 in the ring don't measure up to, her guys. So she ends up talking trash about, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, and also Apollo Crews. And I kind of find it really funny that, Zelina Vega is talking down on her husband, who is in the ring, which is really funny. So all of them walk down the ramp. Zelina Vega, Andrade, Theory, and Garza. They end up knocking over the valet rope that MVP has, on the floor to enter the VIP lounge. So Zelina Vega and, of course, her group of guys enter the ring. So we saw MVP and Mysterio and Black and Crews. They were annoyed about the interruption. So Zelina Vega ended up saying that they need to do what's right for Monday Night Raw and let her 3 guys take their Money in the Bank spots. So apparently Zelina Vega wanted Mysterio, Black, and Crews to give up their Money in the Bank spots to her guys, to Andrade, to Theory, and for Garza. So MVP ended up saying that sounds like a challenge. So Rey Mysterio got on the mic. He ended up saying that Zelina Vega is crazy if she thinks that they will give their spots up. If Mysterio gives his spot up, if Black gives his spot up, if Crews gives his spot up. So Mysterio ended up saying that it sounds like Zelina Vega came out here to pick a fight. And so we had brawls from all 3 teams. And of course, when you have a team of 3 and another team of 3 in the ring, what is the outcome of it? You're going to get a 6-man tag. And so that's what we got. So Monday Night Raw went to commercial. As soon as Monday Night Raw came back, we had a 6-man tag. Glorious 6-man tag. Not really. Not really glorious. Not Robert Roode glorious. So we had Black, Mysterio, and Crews versus Almas, Garza, and Theory. And this was a good match. This was a good 6-man tag. It was enjoyable. We had Aleister Black start off the match with Angel Garza. Garza ended up offering a shake, for Aleister to shake his hand. Zelina Vega was yelling at ringside. So Garza and Black end up trading holds. Black ended up taking Garza down. Black ended up working on Garza's leg. And it was just back and forth between these teams. And in the end of the match, you had Apollo Crews, Aleister Black, Mysterio end up winning the match. Apollo Crews end up blocking the Hammerlock DDT from Andrade. And he had he had a Crews sitting down with a sit-down powerbomb to Andrade. So there you go. Crews, Black, and Mysterio end up winning the match. Overall, it was a good 6-man tag. Really enjoyed it. Wasn't bad. Then we also had, throughout the night, we had the continuation of the 25th anniversary celebration for Triple H. So it was just, them showcasing Triple H's top 10 defining moments, in his career. And then after the Triple H throwback video that we saw of one of the defining moments, we saw Andrade Cien Almas arguing with Zelina Vega backstage. Charlie Caruso ended up interrupting. She ended up asking Andrade what happened in their match. Andrade ends up telling Charlie Caruso that his partners, Garza and Theory, let him down. And those opponents can't beat him in a title match. So Apollo Crews ends up walking up to Charlie Caruso. He ends up calling Garza, Andrade, and Theory sore losers. He ends up saying that he knows he can beat Andrade twice in one night. So Andrade ended up coming back over. Andrade ended up saying to Crews that he will put his title on the line. He will put the United States Championship on the line anytime. So Apollo Crews ended up smacking Andrade in the face, which it was a loud smack. It was a good smack from Apollo Crews to Andrade. So Zelina Vega was talking trash in Apollo's face, and she ends up granting him the title shot, which took place later on in the night. So Apollo Crews was laughing. He ended up taunting Andrade. And basically that was that. So we had a United States Championship match with Andrade versus Apollo Crews. And they were doing double duty tonight. And then we had Asuka versus Shayna Baszler versus Nia Jax. So Asuka ended up coming out first. Asuka got on the mic, ended up ranting, doing her Japanese rants like with the that shit that Asuka does. So they end up showing a replay of Nia Jax beating Kairi Sane. Asuka ended up going on about making Nia Jax tap out in the past. So then out came Nia Jax. So Nia Jax made her way out. Shayna Baszler ended up coming out next. So the match never got underway, and we had Shayna Baszler end up pulling Asuka out of the ring, and Baszler was working on Asuka on the outside. Nia Jax was watching from the ring. Shayna Baszler ended up launching Asuka into a bunch of ladders that were set up. Nia Jax ended up coming out of the ring. She ended up dropping Shayna Baszler. Nia Jax ended up grabbing Asuka, and she ends up manhandling Asuka, but ended up getting super kicked. Shayna Baszler ended up nailing Nia Jax with a kick, and Shayna was the only one standing. She ended up bringing a ladder over. She ends up laying the ladder against the ring steps. And Nia Jax ended up sending Shayna Baszler into the barricade. Asuka ended up looking on, and she turned around to Nia Jax, run her over at ringside. And so Nia Jax ended up rolling Asuka into the ring with Shayna Baszler. And then Nia Jax ended up picking up a ladder, charges into both Asuka and Shayna Baszler with the ladder. So both of them end up on the floor. Nia Jax ends up presses the ladder high. She looks down at Asuka and Shayna Baszler on the floor. And pretty much that was basically that. So the match never really got underway. Overall, that was that. So then, which pretty much, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time. So then we saw Lana and Bobby Lashley. Oh, great. Oh, great. So Lashley ended up saying that he knows Lana wants to help him out. But it would be better if, Lana didn't go to the ring with Bobby Lashley. Lana ended up asking if he doesn't want her out there with him. Lashley ended up saying to Lana, that's not it. So, pretty much, Lana understood what Bobby Lashley had to say, and Bobby Lashley ended up heading to the ring for his match, which his match, he ended up taking on NXT superstar Denzel Dejournette, and pretty much this was basically a squash match. This was an easy win for Bobby Lashley. Lashley ended up winning, ended up delivering a spear to Dejournette, and that was that. Pretty much it was basically Bobby Lashley dominating over Dejournette. So that was that. Squash match. Garbage. Oh, and then we got a plug for the upcoming new WWE 2K video game, which is called 2K Battlegrounds, which the graphics for the game and how they look, this game looks like fucking shit. It really does. I'm like, I ain't playing this game. The game looks like garbage from the trailer. Go watch the trailer if you guys haven't seen it. It's garbage. It looks like garbage, the game. So we saw that. And then once again, we had a rematch with Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott. Liv Morgan ended up winning. Liv Morgan ended up hitting her Oblivion move, as what they were calling it. So Liv Morgan ended up winning. Moving on. It was a short match. Seen them go at it before. I think this is like the third time that we've seen Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott go at it. Because I remember they fought for the first time at the Monday Night Raw that I was at in Barclays. So this is probably like the third time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember. So post-match, Byron Saxton, he ended up interviewing Liv Morgan. Byron ended up asking Liv Morgan if this is the start of a new chapter for her. So Liv Morgan ended up telling Byron Saxton that she has had so many chapters and will have so many more. She ended up saying that she feels like so many other people her age. So Liv Morgan ended up saying that she's trying to figure out who she is and what she's doing. She ended up saying that she's confident that she will figure it out. So then we had Byron Saxton end up congratulating Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan ended up thanking Byron Saxton. And basically that was that. So, but then Liv Morgan say this when I think she was on SmackDown, when she was part of the SmackDown roster. And she was, still a heel. And she had to define who she really is. And then she took that whole long outage where she was out for God knows how many months. So now she's going back to saying that she has to figure out who she is, again. So that was that. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She was backstage with Nia Jax. Nia Jax was getting upset, being asked about Shayna Baszler and the others in the women's Money in the Bank. That was that. Well, no, not in the Money in the Bank, but the opponents like Asuka and Shayna Baszler. So, got my notes all mixed up there, so my apologies. And then after that, we had the Viking Raiders. The Viking Raiders were cutting a promo backstage on the Street Profits. Eric and Ivar, from last week, they were doing that shitty, awful carpool karaoke, which was god-awful. So they went on about how the Street Profits have never beat them when they were in NXT or now on Monday Night Raw. And they say that the Street Profits will only be second best as long as they are around. They end up saying that they are them to prove them wrong. And so Eric and Ivar ended the promo by saying they want the smoke. So it looks like the Viking Raiders want a shot at the Street Profits, and possibly the Raw Tag Team Championships will be on the line. So they're setting them up for that. Oh my God, I can't believe this happened tonight. So the next match was Akira Tozawa versus a returning Jinder Mahal. Oh God, Jinder Mahal is fucking back. Unbelievable. And if you thought Akira Tozawa won this match, boy, you are wrong. Jinder Mahal ended up winning the match. Ended up delivering the Colossus to Akira Tozawa. There you go. Jinder Mahal wins the match. Did I give a shit? No. Boring Jinder Mahal is back. Yay! Are you all excited? Yeah, that's a joke. That's a joke. God. We all don't want to see Jinder Mahal. This guy was a former WWE champion through all 2017 when he was a part of SmackDown roster, which when he was champion on SmackDown, he basically killed that show. He basically killed SmackDown throughout that year of him being WWE champion, because that was god-awful. Jinder Mahal was one of the worst WWE champions of all time. God-awful. And boy, do I not want to think of that. I don't want to think of his reign as WWE champion, because that was just a joke. That was just a fucking joke. I think we all want to block out him being WWE champion out of our minds. But you know what? We can't, because it's in the record books. But moving on. God, we gotta see Jinder Mahal back. Fucking great. So, Charlie Caruso. She ended up approaching Andrade backstage. Zelina Vega wasn't letting Charlie Caruso ask questions to Andrade. Zelina Vega ended up saying that Charlie Caruso will never ask Andrade another question, and that she must go through her from now on. So Zelina Vega and Andrade end up walking off. Angel Garza then end up walking up to Charlie Caruso, and he was flirting with Charlie Caruso, asking if maybe in the future that that both of them can get better acquainted. And so Garza ended up handing Charlie Caruso a rose. Charlie Caruso ended up thanking Garza, and then Garza ended up walking off. And that was that. And then we had Apollo Crews versus Andrade Cien Almas for the United States Championship. Match was, okay, in my opinion. So, Bell ended up ringing. Apollo Crews ended up taking Andrade to the corner. And Crews ended up, backing off. Andrade ended up taking Crews down by his arm. And then you had the referee end up ordering them to break because Andrade and Crews, were on the ropes. So Andrade ended up taking control of the match. Crews ended up fighting back, nailing a drop kick to Andrade. Andrade ended up going to the floor. And there was a point in the match where Crews ended up delivering a moonsault, but he landed on the outside. He twisted his knee, and the injured knee became a point in the match because from Apollo Crews doing that moonsault and landed and injuring his knee, it became a factor in the match for Andrade. And Andrade ended up winning the match to retain the title because Andrade ended up taking advantage of the match and working on Apollo's injured knee. So Apollo Crews couldn't continue, so the referee ended up calling for the bell, and Apollo Crews wasn't able to compete. So the winner, of course, was Andrade. So Andrade still retains the title, the United States Championship. And that was that. But the match itself, it was okay. So then Apollo Crews had to be taken out by the medics. And then we saw the Street Profits. The Street Profits, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, they were responding to the promo that was done by the Viking Raiders. The Street Profits end up accepting the challenge for the Viking Raiders for a title match. So they end up telling the Viking Raiders to show up next week and they can get the smoke. So next week, we're going to begin the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders title match. So then we had another tag team match. Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. I like the pairing between the both of them. So they end up taking on this tag team called Everrise. Apparently, they're an NXT team of Chase Parker and Matt Martel. This was a short match. Ricochet ended up starting off the match with Matt Martel. Cedric ended up tagging in and went for a quick count. And Martel ended up kicking out at 2. Ricochet came back in, kept control of the match. And a distraction ended up allowing Martel to control the match. He ended up delivering a clothesline to Ricochet. So Chase Parker ends up coming in. Both of them unload on Ricochet. Parker ended up going for the cover to Ricochet. Ricochet ended up kicking out at 2. So in the end, you had Cedric and Ricochet come in. They drop Chase Parker on his head. So there you go. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander win the match. But overall, it was a short match. It was an easy win for Alexander and Ricochet. So post-match, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander were in the ring still. And we saw MVP. MVP appeared on the big screen. I'm like, we couldn't get enough of MVP. We couldn't get enough of him earlier to start Monday Night Raw. And we got to see him again. So MVP was on the big screen. He applauded Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. MVP ended up saying that he was inspired by the NFL draft to reintroduce NXT superstars of Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. So Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink appeared next to MVP. MVP ended up saying last week's win for Cedric and Ricochet was a fluke, according to Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink. So MVP ended up saying that he sees a rematch in the future. One that could be straight up ballin'. So Cedric and Ricochet were still in the ring, and they ended up welcoming the rematch. And pretty much that was basically that. So could it be that maybe MVP is going to be managing Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink? You know, I think so. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But it looks like it. Maybe wrong on it. So then after that, we saw Apollo Crews backstage. Apollo Crews was on crutches because he was in the trainer's room. Charlie Caruso ended up approaching Apollo Crews. Charlie ended up saying that she's sorry to see Apollo like this, with crutches. And she ended up saying that he was well on his way to becoming the new United States champion. So Crews had nothing to comment to Charlie Caruso. He started to cry, and he kept on, walking. He kept walking away on his crutches, and that was that. And then we go to the main event, which was the contract signing between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. So Jerry Lawler was in the ring. He welcomes us to the contract signing. Of course, there's a table, chairs, for the contract signing, a table. So Jerry Lawler ends up, hyping up the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. He ends up introducing Seth Rollins. Seth ended up coming out. He ended up wearing a suit. He was wearing black gloves. And he ends up coming into the ring, taking a seat at the table. And then Jerry Lawler ends up introducing Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre came out. He was wearing all black. It was like it was his street clothes. So it was all black that McIntyre was wearing. So McIntyre ends up telling Jerry Lawler to leave the ring. And Jerry Lawler ended up telling McIntyre, "Oh, I think that's a good idea." So McIntyre ended up taking a seat. He stands back up, and he ends up signing the contract. So McIntyre ends up encouraging Seth to sign the contract. He ended up saying that Seth is the one who jumped him a few weeks ago. And he ended up saying that they can get this done in 20 seconds. So Rollins ends up signing the contract. McIntyre ends up saying, "Oh, the time is ticking. The time is ticking, Seth." So Seth ends up asking McIntyre if he thinks he wants this. He ends up saying that he doesn't want this. He has to do this. He ended up saying, that he started it. He dropped McIntyre to get his attention, to get them to this point, and to the match, to get the WWE Championship where it needs to be. So Rollins ended up saying that this isn't about him or McIntyre. It's bigger than all of us. So he ended up saying that McIntyre will be a great champion someday. Calls him a great fighter, a warrior, an honorable man, and he ended up saying that he's not a leader, and that he is a leader, meaning Seth Rollins himself. So Rollins went on about how he's always been a leader in his career, and that the fans have always followed. He ended up saying, now more than ever, the WWE Universe needs someone they can follow, someone to guide them, and that they need a leader. So Rollins ended up saying about how he suffered for the WWE title and said that McIntyre doesn't have to. Seth ended up saying that he doesn't want what happened to him to happen to McIntyre. So he went on and he talked about how McIntyre ended up saying that was a really passionate speech. So McIntyre ended up saying that things are clear to him now. And he is sure they are clear to everyone that's watching. He said that it's clear that Seth Rollins is full of shit. Completely. So McIntyre ended up asking Seth Rollins exactly where his followers are. He ended up saying that the fans turned on him. So McIntyre doesn't know, what is going on in Seth's warped brain. But he says he does know one thing, is that he will not let Seth Rollins win the title under any circumstances. So then we had McIntyre ends up telling Seth Rollins to finish the job at Money in the Bank. So both McIntyre and Rollins stand up. Rollins ends up saying that at Money in the Bank, the big picture will become very clear. And he says McIntyre will be better off for it, and that we can trust him. So Seth then signed the contract. Seth ended up telling McIntyre to have faith. So then we saw McIntyre slams Rollins' face on the table. Seth ended up coming back, after McIntyre ended up clearing the table out of the ring. So McIntyre ended up dropping Rollins with a Glasgow kiss headbutt. And McIntyre was talking more trash to Seth Rollins. He was waiting for Seth Rollins to make his way back up. McIntyre was waiting to hit the Claymore kick to Rollins. But then Buddy Murphy ended up coming out. Buddy Murphy ended up attacking McIntyre out of nowhere. McIntyre ended up trying to fight Buddy Murphy off, but he got beat down. Rollins got back up. He was shown a little upset with Buddy Murphy at first. So then Rollins was shown hugging Murphy. So McIntyre ended up hitting a Claymore kick to Murphy. So Rollins ended up moving out of the way. So that's when McIntyre ended up hitting the Claymore to Murphy. And pretty much that was basically that. McIntyre ended up yelling at Rollins. Rollins was watching from the ramp. And basically that was how Monday Night Raw ended tonight. But I really liked this segment between Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins for their contract signing for the match at Money in the Bank. Really enjoyed it. So anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight, like I said, was god-awful, terrible show. So anyways, that's it for the review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which will possibly be the AEW Dynamite review on Wednesday. So until then, I'll see you all Wednesday.